Welcome to another Torah class here on NETIVonline.org. We really appreciate you joining us for class each Thursday or whenever you tend to watch this on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so right now. We would really greatly appreciate that. It means a lot to us. Today's Torah portion is the last portion of the Torah itself, Vazult Habracha. An incredible ending to all of the texts that we've studied through this year. The Jewish people go through weekly portions of the text, starting from Genesis all the way to the very end to Deuteronomy. And we discover a very beautiful message that's going to be found in this text. And that is this: these words that says, and this is the blessing. We're going to talk about the blessing, which is a hope for all humanity in the closing of the Torah. As we reach the final words of the Torah, the story does not end in tragedy, nor even a closure itself. It's actually the beginning. What is it the beginning of? Torah portion Vazult Habracha states, and this is the blessing. Moshe Rabbeinu, standing on Mount Nebo, looks across the Jordan and blesses the tribe of Israel, and through them blesses all of humanity. The Midrash in Midrash Tanchuma tells us, just as God begins his world with a blessing, and God blessed them. So the beginning says that God began the world with a blessing, and he ends the Torah with blessing the nations and the world. So he ends the Torah with a blessing. From the beginning of creation to the very end of Torah, the rhythm of life is actually about blessing. It's about flow. It's about abundance. And blessing is not limited to one people. It is actually the divine current that flows through all who open themselves to goodness, to mercy, and to justice. Let's look at what the nature of blessing is actually being realized here. The word bracha, meaning blessing, comes from the word which means spring, a spring of water, ever flowing, not ending. We all know that if you have spent any time in nature, there's nothing better than seeing a fresh stream of water, one that you could scoop your hand in and feel the cold water that is has flowed over stones and through sand and is purified, that you can pick it up and drink it with your hand. No one would go to a brackish pool of water in the middle of the desert and attempt to drink from that water. It's not going to bring anything but negativity and effects to your health. Drinking fresh water brings life. You see, the Zohar teaches us a blessing is only found where it can flow and increase, meaning that blessing is tied to flow. Israel's mission is not to hold the blessing, but to let it flow, to become the spring through which divine goodness reaches the world. Already we have seen, since the restoration of Israel back into its land, the Jewish people back into the land, how the world has been blessed by Israel's technology and research and science and medicine, etc. That blessing has flowed to the nations. That blessing is continuing to flow to this day because of the Torah itself. Rambam, Maimonides, writes in Hilchot Melachim 8:10, Moses Rabbeinu commanded by divine instructions that all humanity observe the 7 commandments given to the descendants of Noah, the Sheva Mitzvot. That is how the blessing flows to every corner of the earth. It comes to the priest of Israel, from the priest to the Jewish people, and the Jewish people being the priest of the nations, to the nations, and the nations picking up the moniker of goodness and righteousness through the Torah. That brings goodness throughout the world. You see, that goodness we're seeing unfolded before our very eyes through these 7 foundations of faith in God, justice, compassion, respect for life, respect for humanity. Every person can connect to the Creator's purpose. For the righteous among the nations, that is the Noahides. This is our covenant, a direct line to holiness without conversion, without barriers, a living partnership with God, with the God of Israel. Let's examine Moses' vision for a moment. When Moses looked across the land from Nebo, the Sephri and Midrash Rabbah says that God showed him the entire future from the creation of the world until the final redemption. He saw the struggles of the people of Israel. He saw the rise and the fall of empires. And he saw the day when all the nations would come together, when the words of Isaiah is realized, the knowledge of God will fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. Imagine that moment. A world where faith is no longer divided, where morality is no longer debated but lived, where every heart knows the Creator. That is the world that we are edging into. Yes, we see a lot of turmoil going on in the world, and yes, we see a lot of struggle going on in the world, but that is the separation between those who walk in darkness and light. To make it obvious, to bring an obvious decision to every human to choose what is right and what is wrong, what is true and what is an illusion. You see, what Moses saw is what he left us, that is the Jews and the Noahide people, the people of the nations, to build upon. The Torah ends, but actually the mission is just beginning. The Torah ends, but her light goes on. It does not diminish. The Midrash says there is no end to Torah, for her light continues forever. Amen. For Israel, the journey continues into the land to build a holy society. For the nations, the journey continues through righteousness, through living the moral truths that were revealed at Sinai. The Rambam writes again in Hilchot Melachim 8:11, any person from the nations who accepts upon himself or herself the 7 laws and is careful to perform them is called one of the righteous of the nations and has a share in the world to come. That's breathtaking. You don't need to be born in Jerusalem to walk with God. You don't need to be the son or daughter of a great prophet or priest to have a divine connection. It's not about pedigree or status or upbringing that helps you to walk in divine blessing. You see, every one of us have that opportunity by doing one thing, and that is deciding to follow after illumination, goodness, righteousness, and truth. You just need to live with integrity and kindness and faith. That too is the Torah's mission. Moses' death provides us with an eternal vision. The Torah says, Moses, the servant of God, died there in the land of Moab, and his eyes was not dim, nor his strength diminished. You see, as we discussed in previous texts, Moses' time was finished. It wasn't that he was old and decrepit and couldn't continue on with the people of Israel. His mission was fulfilled. His mission was to bring down Torah from Sinai to the people of Israel, to deliver Israel to the land of Israel, and then to spread the knowledge of God throughout all of the world. The Talmud in Sotah 13b tells us that God himself buried Moses because their relationship was unique and eternal. And the Zohar also states that Moses did not die. His light remains among the righteous. Yes, the righteous, all righteous people of the nations actually carry within their bosom the light of the Torah, which is the light of the divine energy that flows amongst to all the universe itself. So yes, Moses disappears from sight, but his spirit is still teaching. It's still bringing light. It still lives on in each one of us. It lives in each and every Jew who studies Torah and lives according to its principles. It lives in every righteous Gentile who walks the path of divine truth. Whenever you live by the wisdom of God, you carry the light of the Torah forward. You realize in studying the Torah, there is a cyclical nature of the Torah, the Torah circle. The Torah's last words are before the eyes of all of Israel. And immediately when we begin again in Genesis, it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The Zohar tells us the end of the Torah is bound in its beginning. It's bound in Genesis itself. That means that the very beginning means that in the end, we will return back to the source. It's a circle, no end, no break. It continues on. That means the story of Israel and the story of creation are one and the same. Israel's destiny is to bring creation back to its source, to help heal the world, tikkun olam. And the prophet Zephaniah saw its future when he said, then I will turn to the people of pure language, that they may all call upon the name of the Lord to serve him in one accord. That's the world we're heading toward. And every act of goodness hastens the arrival of redemption. Let's examine a world of blessing. The Midrash says each tribe received its blessing, but all the blessings together became one song to the Holy One, blessed be He. Every nation, every culture has its own voice, its own uniqueness. But when we all harmonize in truth and goodness, it becomes one song of humanity serving its Creator. Maimonides paints the picture of that time in Hilchot Melachim 12:5. In that era, there will be no famine or war, nor jealousy or rivalry, for goodness will be abundant, and the world will be occupied with knowing, with nothing but the knowledge of God. That's what Moses saw from Mount Nebo, a vision of peace and justice and divine unity. That's what's coming to the world. If you are anything like me, you feel it in your bones. You realize that something is unfolding in the nations as we speak. Something monumental is taking place where people are crying out for liberty and for justice in a society, for calling for peace in a society. You see, the conclusion to all of this text is the most important message of it all, of all. And that is, we must become a blessing to see blessing come to the world. The Torah's final breath is not a farewell, it's an invitation. The Midrash, Tanchuma, teaches when Israel is blessed, the nations of the world are blessed with them. All of Israel has blessed the nations because of their technology and science and medicine. It's more than that. It's also the spiritual wisdom that comes from the Torah. And the Talmud says in Bava Kama 92a, whoever prays for his fellow is answered first. You see, blessing multiplies when it is shared. When you give charity to others, charity comes to you. When you share loving kindness with others, loving kindness comes to you and I. When we lift another up, you have to be above that. You have to rise first. When you bless, you become a channel of blessing. So as we finish the Torah portion for this year and prepare to begin again, let's take Moses' final message to heart. Be a source of blessing. Live by truth. Love the Creator with all your heart, mind, and soul. Bring hope to the world by being a vessel of light in the world. For then, as Isaiah promised, the Lord will be king over all the earth, and on that day the Lord will be one and his name one. You see, my friend, it's not the end of the Torah, it's the beginning of its purpose. May each one of us, both the people of the nations and the Jewish people, become a vessel of eternal blessing. May all of us begin to be vessels of great illumination and light in our home, in our community, in our society, that we may bring redemption in our age. Amen.